everybody? Welcome to the CRE Arena. Today we have Mr. Elon Gerberg in the house. And man, so excited to have you. I love the background is all the things. But if you guys don't know Elon, he crushes it down in South Florida. He helps lead the ROI group with his partner Adam. And they're an incredible firm within the SVN brand. And you guys are on an absolute tear down there in the market. So Elon, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, man. That's a hell of an intro. I'll try to live up to that. And I'm glad that we've been watching you from down here as well. So it's a crash course of success, and excited to talk some South Florida real estate and beyond. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. First question to jump into it was not on the questions that I wrote down, but who is the dominant force on the hoop behind you? Is it Adam? Is it Cleveland? Is it one of these young bucks you have in the office?
Oh, dang. Let me tell you, the amount of money that I have lost on this thing is it's pretty incredible. I have the hoop, but unfortunately, I'm better in the real hoop. At least that's what I tell myself. A real life size 10-footer.
Yeah, yeah,
But this is something too. I would probably say it's a toss up. None of us are really Kobe Bryant's around here.
yeah,
That's why I put the jersey up. Just to we got to strive for greatness. So we're all working on it. But
yeah.
stay tuned for that answer. I'm gonna say I'm probably I got the home court advantage. I'm probably a little bit better, but I've definitely lost a lot of money.
I love that, man.
Jury's out.
David Hungerford, he had a small hoop in his office back at when we were at our old office, the old SVN branch, and real stale, stuffy office place. But we had that small hoop just like that, and we
Yeah.
played pig at least once a day. Like it was, after lunch, it's like, all right, let's go get this 10-15 minute in, and then
Yep.
and then also just the fun of like. The older brokers walk through the door and you just throw it up and put somebody on a poster right when they walk in the
Yeah.
door. Like that's the fun
Since
stuff.
I've been in the industry, I used to have a smaller hoop. This is an upgraded one when I started my team over at SBN. But when I used to be in the pits over at Marcus Millichap, I had one of those little ones that you could just hang over the head, just a ball about that big. Again, a lot of lost money on
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that hoop. But we had like probably I can't even tell you how many late nights where my wife is like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "We're working late." I'm like, "My shot, my shot." Yeah, we're working late.
Yeah, yeah,
He
exactly.
doesn't watch this podcast.
That's awesome, dude. I love it. Well, right on, man. So yeah, so to dig deeper into that, not as much office basketball, but before Marcus, and I don't even know this, man. We need to connect more. But how did it start, man? Were you born and raised? Were you made and dayed? And then
Yeah,
were your parents in the business? How'd you come up, and how'd you kind of get to where you are today?
yeah, I was one of the early birds because now it feels like everybody's a transplant here in South Florida. But born and raised in Columbus, Ohio,
Mm.
and I went to college at Bowling Green State University, and my mom had moved here when I was a senior in high school. So me and my friends, we used to take road trips down, spring breaks, winter breaks, whatever. And then when I finally graduated, I took one trip down. It was December of 2008. It was me, three of my best friends, and my then girlfriend. And I didn't want to drive back into the snow. And I was like, yeah, I'm probably just going to stay here. So sent my friends back, and we shipped the car down, and I never went back. So I've been here since now December of 2008. And now, my friends warned me then if they left me here with my girlfriend that I was probably going to be done for. I ended up marrying her a few years after that, and here I am. So my mom has lived here forever and
Yeah.
stayed at her house for a little bit just to get my bearings, see what I was going to do with my life, and then once I got my first job at Enterprise Rent a Car, I moved down.
Dang.
So
That's
yeah,
there's a lot of those like first job type, I talk to sales guys now, and I say like, hey, the guys that are going door to door for like solar, those are good sales jobs, like
yep.
where people start off at and have some war stories. But starting off at enterprise and down in South Florida, dude, I would assume that the skin is tough after that. Like after
I,
that, like
I
you can handle just about anything.
no doubt. So we're looking to expand our team in the state of Florida. We can get to that, but when I look for people, I love when they have enterprise rent a car on their resume
Yeah.
because it literally beats the crap out of you. It is like a crash course in getting a BA without having to like actually get your master's or something.
Yeah.
You're doing everything. First off, you're in a suit and tie, and in that suit and tie, you're also vacuuming cars. So you're like your tie, my tie plenty of times got sucked in the vacuum, and you're answering the phones, and you're going to market your services, the body shops, hotel. I mean, it's literally everything from customer service to marketing to sales to multitasking. And so anybody who's like made it through enterprise rent a car for over 2 years and didn't quit or do something worse than themselves. I
Yeah.
could, I have a tremendous respect for it. It definitely catapulted
Yeah.
me. I mean, I knew long term I wasn't going to be renting cars for the rest of my life, but when I was done, I was running a 40-person team at Enterprise Rent a Car at Fort Lauderdale Airport. So learned a lot in managing and understanding, what gets the best out of your team. And I use a lot of that same lessons that I learned then in my everyday practice today.
Yeah, dude, I love that. That's awesome. And I actually have that written down. I want to ask you more about the team building side of things, which you've done so successfully at the ROI group. But what was the transition there? So did you go straight from enterprise to commercial real estate, or was there stops in between?
Yeah. So my when I was first interviewing jobs right out of school, I had went to interview at Marcus and Millichap, and they were like, "Hey, there's a good chance you're not going to be making any money in your first year." And I was like, "Yeah, that's not going to work because I'm living with my mom and my girlfriend, and they're already ganging up on me. I got to get out."
Yeah, yeah,
so so I did not end up taking that job, and I ended up working at Enterprise, and then literally so from then I worked at ADP selling payroll, and I did very well there. But I always looked around and I was like, there was solid guys, but I always felt like I was the best amongst my peers, and I was looking for something that was going to challenge me. So I always had my eyes on commercial real estate because it takes a certain type of person to say, all chips to the center, I'm going to bet it on me, I'm going to hunt and kill what I have to eat. And and I wanted to be challenged by the best in the business that are willing to do that in whatever arena I was in.
yeah,
My dad's an entrepreneur and started his own business, and so I was looking to do much of the same. So when my wife actually told me that she was pregnant, I walked into my job at ADP and I was like, it's now or never. I got 100,000 or so in the bank to hold me over. It's I'm ever going to bet on myself and do it. I'm going to have to do it now, or it's never going to happen.
yeah,
I just didn't want to be stuck in I wanted to manifest my own destiny and, be more of an entrepreneurial role. So
yeah.
that's what I did. And so I went straight there to interview with Marcus. And that's how I started my career in commercial real estate.
Man, I love that. And betting on yourself, it's like it's a big risk, obviously, but it's you'll never fail. You'll only learn, and
Yep.
that decision to bet on yourself, it's like I've never met anybody that's regretted betting on themselves. Like, hey, I went for it, oh, and I missed, but like I regret doing it. I've never talked to anybody like that.
I
So
think where you find the regret is when you don't do it, right?
oh, for
Like
sure.
years down the line where you're like, man, if I woulda, shoulda, coulda, and what could have I accomplished if I just try to go out on my own. And the safe route is always the easy route, I feel like. But it's tough, I
Yeah.
mean, life is expensive, and so you really got to be able to will just you know jump off that cliff and understand that somehow some way you're going to make it.
Yeah. No, and those external factors as well, like with the baby coming, that's an interesting conversation, man. I've tried to like talk to a couple people about it, and I've had good conversations around it, and I've even tried to somewhat recreate these things in my life, but the amount, like when you get to a certain place, what I found that it's almost impossible to recreate these, but it sounds like for you and also for me was, the moment that was like breakthrough when my business like 10x'd was when I was, freshly single, two kids, less than 2 grand in my bank account. And I was living with my grandma, and I said, all right, this is my new circumstance. I either, I was in commercial real estate doing the research role, and I said, hey, either I I had one eye on Indeed and I had one eye on commercial real estate. And I said, like, hey, I'm just going to go all in on commercial real estate. I have very little expenses. I said, hey, I can last till like 4 or 5 more months with the income I had coming in. I can last 5 months in the business. I'm going to give it everything I got. And if, let the chips fall where they may. And
Yep.
then that year, like I said, the end of that year, it was like a 15x in my income. So, I mean, similar for you, man, it's a very interesting conversation because how do you recreate these types of, I don't want to recreate that situation, right? That was a bad situation to be in, but
Yep.
that pressure that is created in those situations like that, I mean, it forces success, so
I couldn't agree with you more. When did you get in the business, Augie?
it was, oh, I always mess this up. It was about 8, 9 years ago.
Okay.
Yes.
So even in your time and in my time, it's probably around the same, right? I got in 2016.
Yeah.
And what we've seen as far as, peaks and valleys, as far as ups and downs in this industry, especially being in Florida, I don't know how many. I mean, obviously, there's been the global financial crisis. There's been tons of ups and downs, but the amount that we've experienced during our 8-year, 9-year period between interest rate fluctuations and then the economic shutdown, as it related to COVID and lending not being available, and it's just and then when you put in the fact you have kids, you have a family. I have kids, I have a family. I put my kids in private school, and I made it a promise to myself that I was going to provide them the best possible education and security, so I never had to think about that. And once you add these things, you buy a home and you're trying to build the lifestyle you want. I feel like those are the pressures, right? Because I'll tell you, as much success as I've had, I mean, we sell, I don't know, $100 million worth of properties annually, year after year after year. But there have been years where maybe I bit off a little bit more than I could chew, and a couple of deals fall through. And I mean, a couple of deals could be a huge swing. And I've had nights where I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I got to make this happen. And so it just keeps you determined, and it keeps you driven. I think kids and family and being a father, it's changed my life in so many ways. But if nothing else, it's my why. It keeps you on your toes, because you never want to have that conversation where it's like you can't, or be in the position where you can't fulfill your obligations or give the lifestyle that you want your kids to have, or the life that you want to lead, and set an example for them. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's a huge, that as a father is always keeping you on your
Yeah, no, for sure, man. This actually came up last week. SVN is rolling out a new training for their new advisors, and they had me come and talk on a session. I forgot what the session was even about. I'm doing another one today, actually, right after this. I'm doing another session,
game.
but one of the questions in the Q&A after was, how do you stay motivated during cold calling? And I originally like kind of had a not so nice answer pop in my head, like, and I'm like, stay motivated? Like, what the hell do you mean? Like, what do you mean? How do you stay motivated? And then, I just don't want to take it for granted. What ended up popping into my head was responsibility, because like if you're a young single dude or a single gal, and you're living with your parents, or you have a small $1,200 a month apartment. I know they don't have those in South Florida, but $2,500 a month apartment, whatever it is. If you have little expenses and nobody else counting on you, then it's a different conversation. But if you have people that are counting on you, like Cleveland, for example, like you could have told me Cleveland was actually the first guest on the CRE, and I don't know if you know that or not, but like,
Yeah, I was going to tell you, we don't want to take complete credit for the CRE arena, but we'll take complete credit for getting its for its takeoff.
It was a spark. We didn't start here. We started like here. But no, Cleveland man came on and it was such an awesome time being with him.
It was a
But
great interview too.
same thing, man. It's like you could have told me day one, like, hey, is Cleveland gonna be any good at this business? It's like he doesn't have a choice. Like
Right.
that dude has to put up. Like that's a hire that you guys made. It's like I would make that hire every time because a guy with
Yeah.
5 kids, now 6 kids, it's like you cannot you cannot be unmotivated. That's not even in the question. So,
Yeah.
the
Bigger
responsibility that we
sweat.
have as fathers is an incredible driving factor, which, yeah, a lot of people can harness, which is ultimately good, man. So,
Yeah, I don't think that if you need motivation as a father, then this is not the arena for you. The CRE arena is not for you.
it'll chew you up and spit you out, man.
For sure.
Only the gladiator survives. So, well, right on. So when was it from Marcus to SVN? When did you make the switch?
Yeah, so it was actually I'm coming up on my 3 year anniversary, so it's been just about three
Wow.
years. Um, Adam and I were on a top retail office and industrial team at Marcus and Millichap, and learned a great deal. Grew very close with Adam. But I feel like everybody wants to be their own man, right? You have this entrepreneurial spirit because at the one that at least in my eyes, I'm looking to take over, right? I don't. The sky is the limit for me. There are no limitations, and we're constantly looking to expand, get better at every facet of our entire brand is all associated on getting better, every single day.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, Adam was one of those guys that I knew was very similar minded to me. So we were just in this position where I was like, listen, we've made a lot of relationships. We've learned a great deal. I cannot, say anything negative about my time at Marcus because I learned it turned me into a lot of what, springboarded me to be able to go out on my own. But, I knew that Adam was in a similar situation where, you sort of get on a team, and then once you learn, you're always going to be that second person. It's very difficult, at least from my vantage point, to go out on your own and start your own. So we were just looking for places that we felt like we could build something big. SVN was a national brand, but they didn't really have a commercial footprint in South Florida. But a lot of similar I guess, core values in the fact that, we're very collaborative. But one thing that I think was a huge differentiator is right around the time when we were looking to make that transition, um, there were so many people moving to the state of Florida. At that time, I think it was up to 1,200 people a day.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like 90% of the people that we were having conversations with and we're looking to acquire in South Florida were out of state, out of area, out of country even.
Yeah.
And so, what what they really preach at some of these other firms, I guess, is they have almost a fiduciary responsibility as a publicly traded company to try to keep as much of that fee in house for their shareholders. So share with everybody, under the flag, but not so much out.
Yeah.
And one thing that sort of drew Adam and I to SBN was their collaboration and culture to collaborate with people beyond the SBN brand, really play nice in the sandbox with all brokers. And we just felt like that was so important at the time because it felt like we were leaving some money on the table sometimes and weren't really, like I said, that we no longer for the first 5 years of my business, you knew who the most local aggressive buyers were because you were talking to them. If they didn't win out on the deal beforehand because we had 20 offers, now you have 19 that are aggressive that you can talk to that on a first name basis that own properties down here.
Yeah.
But that was starting to change, right? Those were no longer the most aggressive buyers. They're like, these people are crazy. How can you, make those numbers make sense?
Right.
And so what we quickly realized is it was only going to help us, you know, strengthen our relationships with our clients, but also, create more competition and drive up pricing on ourselves to let us hit new benchmarks. So that was like the deciding factor to us. Is SBN really hit on, we cooperate with 50% of our fee, 100% of our time. Day one, put it on LoopNet, CoStar, and every Crexy and every listing website you could think of, which is sort of foreign to us at that time.
Yeah.
But once we embraced it, I think that's really what allowed us to really, take off and expand as a brand pretty quickly from starting 3 years ago, just us two, to being now a team of six.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And it's been awesome to see. When you said 3 years, I was like, that doesn't seem right. But I think it's just like you guys have made such an impact on the brand and have done such a good job down there that it seemed like longer than that. So, and really, it might be a timing thing, but I wanted to ask you, and I guess it's only been 3 years. I truly thought it was longer than that, but it really seems like, I mean, I've known who you guys are, and we've like, hung out at conferences and Florida meetups and all these things since the start. However, in the last, I don't know, what would you say, 12 or 18 months, like you guys have always done well, but in the last 12 or 18 months, like it seems like you guys are on an absolute tear and like just and crushing. So, do you think that's like just time in the seat? Like it was the first 2 years you had to kind of build up the business, and now it's like the fruit from all your labor. It's the harvest now, or what is that? Additional members to the team or other resources? Like what would you attribute this even bigger blow up in success? Like what would you attribute that to?
First and foremost, all glory to God.
Amen.
But the I think it's a culmination of all of those things, right? We are constantly looking to better ourselves. We made a huge decision because, again, we're always looking at every facet of our business, right? We're looking at how do we make our marketing material better. We're looking at how do we expand our reach. And I'm seeing the CRE arena. We're seeing, do we want to do a podcast? How do we make it so we're top of mind all the time? And so social media has been crucial for us. I think Beth Azor had said like less than 1% of our competitors are on social media. And I'm thinking to myself, everybody has a cell phone in their pocket. So Adam and I decided, we needed to do something to show everybody what we were doing and how active we were, and just, stay top of mind. And I think between doing that and staying religious to posting each and every day, which is a commitment in itself, to add on to everything else that we're doing, really catapulted us in a way. Also, I think that, the market sort of worked in our favor. We've always played in that sort of $2 to $15 million sandbox.
Yeah.
And once interest rates really started to take off, you saw even, larger family offices and even REITs start to look at some of these smaller unanchored deals that maybe other of our competitors didn't have their feet in that, on our boots on the ground, where we were already playing there, right? We already had those relationships.
Yeah.
So I think that helped us a great deal. And the fact is, we're centered in what I would argue is the hottest market in the country, which is South Florida.
Yeah.
So all of that combined, more exposure, expanding our team, obviously, now that we have Cleveland, we have Michael, we have Arjun, and we're looking to expand even further. I think all of that has been a culmination into really being more top of mind, and it all sort of just came together at the right time. And we're looking to, continue to expand upon that. Florida is still very hot. All eyes are on the Fed to see what they're going to do with interest rates. And there's a ton of commercial debt that's coming due. So I think there'll be a ton of opportunity. So in our eyes, it's being in the right place at the right time and being on top of mind when that decision comes.
Yeah.
And I think we all can agree there's going to be a lot of trigger events that are going to cause some decisions to have to be made amongst commercial property owners. Question is, who do they know and who do they see as the expert?
Yeah.
Our hope is always that we're top of mind when that time comes.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. And you guys are doing an incredible job. And one of the things that I've noticed on social media with you guys, and what it seems, I'm sure, I don't know if you've already seen this, start to come true, but from a recruiting standpoint, and I think as you guys grow even more, I know you've added a few members to the team, but I believe you guys are going to continue to multiply in numbers. I think the social media component probably helps a lot with recruiting, because I'm like an outsider looking in, and I'm looking at like I'm just looking at the background right now. It's like those guys know how to have fun. Like I'm a
Yeah.
little jealous of the bromance that goes on in the office. It's like, man, these guys are slamming on each other on a hoop on at lunchtime, like in
Yep.
videos and all these things and property tours. I'm like, these are cool dudes, good dudes, and they're having fun in the business. And like, man, that's one of
Yep.
the biggest things because a lot of these young brokers they can get a older mentor, they can go to a more corporate shop, and it's stuffy, it's corporate, but man, you guys are not that. So I think that's going to help in the long run. You might be able to see a little bit of fruit from it now, but I think in the next like 1, 3, 5 years, dude, I think that from a recruiting portion, it's like those guys are having fun. I want to go work there. That's
No
where
doubt.
that's where I want to start my career. So um, I'm
Yeah, I mean,
excited to see that.
we're already seeing the proof of that now. I mean, every recruit that we've had has been through social media, and that's exactly right. I mean, Michael started the first day, and we had him in a commercial real estate rap video the next day. So,
Oh,
so
that's the best.
we we threw him right in. But listen, we try to have fun, we try to work hard, but at the end of the day, we're all, you know, C or B class students, right? With A type personalities that can outwork anybody in the industry. We all have our different, whys. Mine is, my family and whatever it is. But, we get here at 7:30, we leave at 7 o'clock, and we outwork our competition with a smile on our face. And you can hear it with my team when they're on the phone, right? It's, you're speaking with an expert that loves what they're doing. And that's who people like to do business with.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And like I said, it's been awesome to see that. One thing I wanted to ask you it was in relation to you guys, bringing on new agents, and you talked a little bit about the work ethic, but as far as prospecting goes in business development, you guys do an incredible job about providing value to your clients. But how does the ROI group approach prospecting and business development?
Um, there's a multifaceted, campaign, but for the most part, the phones are the lifeline of our business, right? We try to make sure that there's no stone unturned. Social media is huge. We just did a video about this, but I mean, if you put your mind to it, you can make 300-400 calls a week. I can do one post and I'm reaching, that many people in a post, right? Or more. So it's multifaceted. We make sure that number one, we're prepared. Number two, we make sure that we have our call list together. We know exactly when we come into work. We don't do any of that administrative stuff when it's go time, right? During that 9 to 5, our blinders are on and we're focused on creating relationships. So it's all about calling people. If you can't get them on the call, text them, social media, connect with them. Once you have them connect on social media, now you have free flow to, make sure that your face is being seen on their phone every single time they open any of the social media apps. Hard mailers are a huge, emphasis of ours, something that, I think a lot of people probably don't do anymore, but it's so important. How are you differentiating? Everybody's calling, everybody's emailing. You got to do those things, but how to differentiate yourself? I think hard mailers, social media is definitely one way we do that, but there's not a way we're not trying to get in touch with them. We'll drop
Yeah,
by, we'll connect with you on social media, we'll text, we'll email, we'll call, air, mail, see, however it needs to get done.
yeah, yeah,
We're experts that you should be talking with if you own commercial real estate, if nothing else is a resource for you, because none of us are salesmen,
yeah.
but all of us are in the know and have seen pretty much every rent roll on any given street and any given product type in South Florida. And, as we expand beyond in other markets in Florida. But, that's the main thing is people look at us as an expert and we're indifferent. All we want to be is a resource, because what we've found to find is people don't own real estate more than 7 years. Eventually, they're going to want to make a decision, and they're going to want to make that decision with somebody who's been able to provide them value. So when it comes to prospecting, it's however you can get in front of them and then add value. And that's
Yeah.
the name of the game.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I love that. There's a question I had on social with and people in South Florida. I feel like they're different than anywhere else in the world, right? But the property owners in South Florida, are you finding them? Are you being able to are you connecting with them well on social media platforms? If so, which ones? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Instagram? Like, do you see property owners down there more on one than the other? Because up here in Central Florida, a little bit slower pace, and a lot of the 2 to 12 million, 2 to 15 million property owners, the local regional mom and pop type owners, they might get on Facebook for the grandkids, but like they're not on LinkedIn,
Right.
they're not on Instagram, which
Yeah.
I don't discriminate either. I will like if there's grandma's looking at grandkids on Facebook, like I will go into grandma's DMs on Facebook and I will DM on Facebook with no shame attached. So yeah,
Yeah.
what do you see in your market?
I think South Florida is probably a different animal, right? I mean, Lakeland and some of those areas, even though nothing is safe in Florida, right? Because we're sort of, there's only so much land to go. And that's why you guys are probably having a lot of success, up in your area. But in South Florida, um, we've gotten several deals or referrals from just our activity on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like it's a little bit of a younger crowd, a lot of people moving down here. I mean, property owners come in all shapes or forms, so
Yeah.
we're trying to reach everybody. And again, this is a long game, right? So who might not be the main decision maker now eventually becomes the property owner, and they end up making decisions. And if you're just getting in front of somebody once they're making the decision to sell and you haven't established a relationship or a brand beforehand, your chances of getting that listing and having success there are pretty slim.
Yeah.
Twitter and I would say LinkedIn are the lead horses. If you're not on those as brokers, you're definitely missing the boat. It's just a free flow of information. I learn, I provide value. It's a great community. Adam is probably the most active out of all of us on Twitter, and I know he's gotten a lot of referrals in that regard as well. So it's, there's people that I don't know. I'm getting ready to go to Ohio, where I'm originally from, and there's people that I've met on social media that I'm getting ready to meet with, just because, you know, they're active, and I'm looking at how can I get better at my game on social media. And it makes that your reach in the world and so much smaller and more connected.
Yeah.
It really is huge. And next thing you know, if you have a question about something that maybe you haven't dealt with, you have a community that you can reach out to and exchange ideas. So it's extremely powerful. But no doubt, I mean, we've gotten referrals from them. We've gotten, leads. We've gotten recruits. It's just, and if nothing else, people see us all the time,
Yeah.
right? So they know that we're active. It's one thing to say we've sold 16 properties this year, but it's another thing when somebody sees it listed, then they see the tour, then they see it's been sold. And, you times that by the amount of activity that we're doing. And now all of a sudden, it's not just that you're active, but you're active and people see that you're active, which is
Yeah.
really crucial in gaining more business.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's the proof is in the pudding, and being able to articulate that and show that to people, but also like the data, the insights, how the transaction actually went, the value that you can now provide to the market because you've actually done 16 deals this year, is where the real value comes to serving others, which is huge. Before we get out of here, man, one last question. A lot of our listeners and viewers are newer to the business, so if you are less than 12 months in the business, what would be your one piece of advice heading into this next year, 2 years? I'm brand new, I'm less than 12 months, probably a little frustrated, wanting to be further along than I am. What would be your advice to that newer, younger broker?
Well, now is a great time to be getting in, but I would say you got to outwork your competition in your first 1 to 2 years. That's what makes or breaks you. I would think that the number is like 90% of people don't make it. So the first thing I would say is if you're a young entrepreneur or somebody who's trying to get into commercial real estate, team up with somebody that is proven and has a track record for success. You're just not going to be able to do it on your own. You come in, you don't have anything to sell. You've never sold anything. You don't learn it overnight. So to be able to have, like, when somebody joins our team, all of a sudden they're able to say, collectively, we have sold 16 properties this year. And you go on meetings and you see how, I'm presenting myself and how I, carry a meeting with the client. And it just shortens your learning curve a great deal. So that would be the first thing. I would say, learn as much as you can, but join a team that can automatically give you legitimacy and credibility from day one. So you can leverage their just sold, you can leverage their just listed, and that'll get you in the door. And then you can have somebody who is a leader who's proven to bring that, listing home for you. Within a couple of years, you'll learn, you'll start to know more and more and more. And, our whole thing at the ROI group is we want to be your partner. We know what it's like when you have somebody here, there's somebody over, that's under you, and they can't. Ultimately, we understand the pie is huge, and if we can just have a bigger pie, even if it's a smaller piece, then we're doing the right thing. So if you're young, you're looking to get in the game, I would just say, number one, minimize your bills as much as possible. So you don't, because it's very tough. You may not make much money in your first, year or so, but that is the time for you to learn. And then if you can, get through the next couple of years, that's when you'll start to see a lot of your peers that have fallen behind, and you'll get that much more success. So
awesome.
Also with young guys that are coming into the game, it's a different game, right? Less than 1% of people are in social media. People were born on the phone nowadays. They like come out of the womb with a cell phone in their hand. So it's like literally they're so ahead in that regard. So if they just come in and learn the actual fundamentals of commercial real estate brokerage, and then bring all the things that the people who have been in the game may not necessarily be as familiar with. I mean, everybody's talking about AI now. Everybody's talking about social media. So I would say, implement that in your game while you're learning from a proven entity that has a track record. And, sky's the limit for somebody like that. But come work for me if you do that, because we would love to turn anybody who's looking to get into commercial real estate. We hold trainings, we do role plays, we do everything that we can to make sure that they have the tools to succeed, to ultimately, be partners with them and continue to expand our reach. So that's the name of the game for young guys coming in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So say, excuse me, there is that young broker that says, hey, this Elon dude seems like a great guy. He's in the hottest market in the United States. How do they reach out, man? We'll post the links to your social and whatnot, but say they want to come join the team, they want to interview, they want to get to know you guys more, man. How do they reach out?
Yeah, just we're on YouTube, we're on X, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, the ROI group of SVN Commercial Partners. We sell retail, office, and industrial properties, so you can find us on any of those platforms. You can obviously search my name on svn.com. If nothing else, I was just at an event with my friend Todd Napola. I don't know if you know Todd. Todd had an event with a bunch of young entrepreneurs who were interested in, potentially buying and owning commercial real estate, or maybe just learning about commercial real estate. I spoke with a lot of them, and there's a lot of people that I've met that, don't be afraid to reach out. That's another great thing about social media. Reach out to Augie, reach out to myself. We're all, willing to share information, and try to help out. So that'd be another piece of advice I would say is, reach out to me, reach out to Augie. And even if it's not, to join my team, I think we're all, an open book and willing to, help you out any way we can, and be available as a resource for anybody. Feel free to reach out to me, even if you're just curious about the real estate industry or how things work, or if you're a property owner and are just looking to, get an idea as to what other property owners are doing. We're available, and however we can help out.
Awesome, Elon. Well, man, I can't thank you enough. This has been a joy for all the viewers.
Yeah,
hope you guys enjoyed it. Please reach out to Elon, follow him on socials, shoot him a DM, let him know that you heard the episode. But everybody, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Peace.
Thanks for having me on.